This is Stacia, and I wanted to share a game that I played today on chess.com. It's an interesting one. Um, I had the black pieces, rated 1569, against Samuel Zamalek, rated 1600. And this was a 15-minute game with 10-second increment. And let's just go ahead and dive right into it. All right, so he started with the move d4, and I played knight f6. This is my normal repertoire. He went c4, so creating a pawn duo. And now I played c5, challenging his d-pawn. And this is considered the Benoni defense. He played the main move, which is d5, pushing past and gaining space. And I went ahead with the strange but actually kind of popular move, b5, the Benko Gambit. Yeah, and this is the main move as well from this point. And it was at this point that my opponent played what appears to be some kind of weird novelty, the move bishop d2. And I have to admit, I'm pretty unfamiliar. The first thing I learned from this game already was that I'm pretty unfamiliar with any lines where they don't take on b5. And I have a history of, let's say they play knight f3. This is the main move if you're not accepting. And I usually just take here. And I've been pretty satisfied with this, but I'm not sure that I am anymore. So this move bishop d2 is interesting. Now, sometimes I look at moves like this and I go, oh, they don't know what they're doing. This must be bad. But actually, I think it's more healthy to look at a move like this and ask questions like, why did they play it? So I actually did that this game, and I determined that he's probably going to play bishop c3 at some point and then bring the knight to d2. So that's what I was thinking. And this bishop is actually kind of good here. If he can challenge my bishop, which is going to come to the g7 square, that's a good post. But as for now, I do have the move b4 if I need it to kick the bishop out. So this is sort of what was running through my mind at this point of the game. And I thought about playing either b4 right away or taking, and I did decide on taking. So I had a blitz game where I played b4, and they went a3, and I didn't have a good game. Like, it got crazy, and they ended up destroying me on the queenside before I got developed. So I decided not to go into that and just go with my normal move. Now, in the future, though, I want to mention this. I do this with all my games. And that's, I like to check and see what's a better move. So I'm not happy with this move anymore. I think it's kind of lazy. And I think that's the only reason I adopted this move. And the computer gives e6. So I very well may be trying this in the future. And like if you play this against the normal, like this is a weird move, bishop d2. But let's say they played that knight f3 move. The computer gives e6 as the strongest one. And this is actually called the Blumenfeld counter gambit, which is also an opening in the Benoni family. But okay, I don't want to spend too much on the opening. Just wanted to give my thoughts on that. So after bishop d2, I did take. And now he played knight c3. Okay, and I think that's a good move. You definitely want the knight out here. I played g6, so I'm going with my normal plan of g6, bishop g7, e6, and probably bishop a6 if I can. Okay, he went e4. And I also like this move. He's now ready to recapture the pawn on c4. I don't intend to even try to defend it. I don't think I really can anyway. I mean, maybe bishop a6 is an option, but it just looks sketchy to me. So, Yeah, especially because the problem with bishop a6 is that e5 is on the menu. I've got to stop this move. Yeah, computer says this is really horrible for black. I agree. So I don't have time for bishop a6. I have to play d6 just to control this square. And okay, he takes. And I played bishop g7. And I didn't feel bad about my position here. You know, it's like I have a Benko Gambit without the gambit, you know. Okay, he goes knight f3. I castled. This is pretty standard in this part of the game. And then h3. This is a little unusual, but it's a little annoying too. So just one of the standard maneuvers is knight g4 to the e5 square. And then when the knight is stationed on e5, he's pretty well placed here, and he stops on the e5 pushes, at least until the f-pawn comes in. And a lot of times, like, this knight will come here. And if it's traded, you take with the other knight. And it's kind of a nice way to relieve the pressure in the position, because we're a bit cramped. You know, we're a bit cramped. White has this nice pawn on d5. So, okay. I wasn't too worried about this move, though. It's still fairly normal. And now it's time for me to figure out how I'm going to develop my queenside. And I decided that my knight and my bishop and my other knight are all tripping over each other. So I decided to trade my my bishop with bishop a6. Idea being that if he tries to avoid the trade with bishop b3, I might play c4, but also not right away because it would stop him from castling, which might be annoying. So, okay, he played b3, defending the bishop. I actually kind of like that move. The other thing this does is undefend the c3 knight. So, something to keep in mind. The c3 knight is the only piece defending e4. So I did look at tactics here on the e4 square. Unfortunately, I didn't think this is working because knight takes e4, and if I take the rook, I've been in situations like this before where the queen is on the a1 square, just bearing down right into my king side. And notice all my dark squares are weak. So there's that. And this bishop is quickly going to come into the h6 square. And yeah, that's a quick checkmate. Not only that, but the defense against this is f6. And notice that the knight that was previously on c3, guess what? It's attacking f6. So I thought this looked incredibly dangerous, and I'm glad I assessed that correctly because the computer agrees and says that white is pretty much winning in this position. So I'm glad I didn't go for that. But okay, after b3, I had to decide what to do. And when I went over this without an engine, I thought this might be my first mistake. I played the move bishop takes c4. I feel this trade helps white a little bit. But on the other hand, I need to free my pieces up. So I think that is the reason the computer is like okay with this move. Computer still likes e6 and rook e8. It loves this plan with e6. It always wants to play e6, this I'm aware of. But also knight f to d7 is something it's bringing up. So if we can't use the g4 square, the computer is saying, hey, just pivot the other way. Okay, fair enough. But I took. And the thing I don't like about this is now I kind of had a slight advantage in the sense that I traded my b pawn for a more center pawn, the c pawn. But now I just did the same thing. Basically, I nullified that by allowing white to turn their b pawn into their c pawn. But okay, this is fine. Computer says white only has a tiny edge here, plus 0.1. And now what to do? I have to finish development. I thought about knight b to d7 here, but then I wasn't sure what this knight was going to do. So I actually played knight f d7, looking to pivot into the e5 square. And this is actually my first mistake of the game. And the reason is I have some better options here. So the computer still loves the rook e8 e6 plan, played in either order. But the other thing to consider here is normal development, knight b to d7, with the idea of coming to the b6 square, hitting on the weak pawn. So this is a backwards pawn in the position, and the knight would be well placed on b6, at least for a minute. I would be concerned about this kind of stuff, though, I have to admit. But okay. This pawn is undefended, so white would have to deal with that. Okay, but this was played in the game, and now I really liked white's next move, and yeah, the computer's verifying. Rook b1. The reason I love this is it just takes away any of the tactics along the diagonal. But in addition to that, there is one open file, and that is the b file. And white has beat me to it. So I think that's a good move. It is defended by the queen, but white's going to easily castle and have everything connected on the back row. So, excuse me. So rook b1, and I went knight e5 as planned. I really expected white to take here. That is the best move too. I mean, if takes, I thought I'd just simply, recapture with the bishop. I guess there is f4. Computer doesn't like f4, but I would be concerned about it. It says just slip in here. Oh, okay. And the reason this works is because white is not yet castled. Okay. But instead of that, the other thing is that I'm attacking this pawn. So when white castled, this did happen in the game. I think they blundered this pawn. Computer agrees. So I took it. This looks totally normal. To take something like that looks like a free pawn to me. And now this does create a pass pawn. So my c pawn's pretty happy now. So okay, they went queen b3. So really building on this file now. Attacking my knight. And I took the bishop. Again, I like this for black because now that white no longer has a dark square bishop, and I do, and he's so well placed here, I felt like this is just a beast now, this guy, and he cannot be opposed. So I was feeling really good about my position here. And sure enough, the computer's saying I was quite a bit better, minus 1.3. So doing well here. And then knight d7. So notice now that the light square bishop and the other knight's gone, it just feels like my positions has a lot more harmony than it did before. Like it's really easy to put my pieces places now. So I like the idea of trading off a minor piece or two in a Benko Gambit, but especially one that's declined like this, because I don't have my open A file like I normally would, which also helps alleviate any crowdedness. Is that a word, crowdedness? Okay, So knight b5. I don't want this to take forever, so I'm going to try and go a little quick. There's a couple key moments coming up. Knight b5, yeah, this is annoying. This often happens in Benko Gambits, where the knight jumps into this b5 square. Now, as for now, I do have the move a6, if I ever want to kick him out. But let's see. I went with the move rook b8. Notice he cannot take right away because the knight is now pinned. But I missed the next move, which is the move queen a4. So he simply sidesteps my threat. And now this is attacked twice. And I have to admit, I did not see the right way to defend this pawn in the game. So if you'd like to, pause your video and see if you can find the best move in this position that I missed. And okay, so in the game, I played the move a5, advancing the pawn so that's defended by the queen. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but there's actually a better move here, and that's the move knight b6. Knight b6 is interesting. You're saying you have to move your queen, and guess what? I'm leaving this pawn for you. So white can take it, but then we have the move rook e8. So moving the rook back to the a file, but with great effect, you know. So now we're attacking the queen and we're extraying this pawn on a2. Not only that, but even though we moved our rook away, the queen maintains defense of the knight on b6. So it's kind of a pretty little maneuver. So the queen can go to b7. That's probably the best move. I think this move is possible, but this is just bad because after something like this, we've won a pawn. And if he tries to take, we can also take the knight on d2. And now I think that without the a pawn, our c pawn is going to come to tell in the long run. Not only that, this bishop's really well placed. I think this knight's going to have to maneuver a bit. So I really like the black position here. Computer agrees. Minus 2.8 it says. So black's winning. Pretty interesting. There's probably even more that I'm not seeing. But okay. After knight b6, queen takes a7, rook here. The better move is queen b7 because it doesn't allow for that variation. And now we go rook takes a2. Now here, we're attacking this knight. White has to move it. They would have to go knight f3. I could go further in this variation, but suffice to say black is still up a pawn. The rook is very active, and I think this is fine. You can even play a weird move like bishop b2, just like creating interference along the b file. This is a move the computer showed me that I think is pretty interesting. And now the knight is hanging. The queen's kind of awkward. Yeah, I definitely like black in this position too. So okay, in the game I played a5, a simple move, and not as powerful as knight b6. And now we see an interesting moment. So the computer is giving knight c4 as the best move here. I agree with that. I was expecting knight c4, and it occurred to me during the game that when I took that c pawn, I kind of helped white a little bit. You know, it's a full pawn, so, you know, you got to take it. But now the c4 square is free for the knight. And this knight is very well placed here. So just something to take note of. A lot of times I notice when you give up a pawn, you get some sort of initiative, and then the question is, how good is it? So in this case, it shouldn't be enough for full compensation, but I'm going to have to deal with some pressure for sure, because my a pawn's in big trouble, you know? So okay. Let's go with the game, though. My opponent played knight a7, and I like his idea. I mean, he wants to jump in here. This looks really annoying, especially since it would fork my rook and queen, so I didn't like that. But I had an idea against this. So I calculated this line, and it turns out it is okay, so I'm kind of happy. Sometimes my calculations fall short. I miss things, but here I played knight e5. Now he can't really jump into the c6 square because I'll just take the knight, and when he takes back, my thought was that I could win this back. Can I for sure? I'm not sure, but that was my plan here. And he played the move f4, which I also calculated. And here, I played the move rook takes b1, rook takes, followed by knight d3. And my idea was that now I'm hitting this. So, and with the rook gone, this knight will have tempo on my queen, but I can simply move her to c7. But truth be told, there was a stronger move here, so I do want to show it. After this, when f4 comes, I have another option. I have this move rook b4. Now this is pretty cool because now I'm attacking the queen, and if the rook takes, which it probably should, then I can take with my a pawn or my c pawn, whichever I want. And yeah, can I take with the a pawn? Computer says no, so I'm trying to see why. There's something wrong with it. Well, my knight is hanging. That's for sure. So if I take with the a pawn, they take the knight. And I play here. So what's the deal? Rook b4. If I take with the c pawn, they take. Oh, nice little tactic. Queen b6. Okay, I missed this actually. But that would be a really clever way to play the position, this rook b4 move. Yeah, I'm not good enough to see stuff like that necessarily. So, okay, let's keep going. So after the way I handled it with knight d3, my opponent went knight c6, queen c7 is planned. And yeah, my pawn is hanging. So it's a little scary, but I kind of thought I'm not losing yet because it's equal material, and I do have my pass c pawn, and he'll have his pass a pawn, so probably white's slightly better though. Okay, he went g3, defending the f pawn. And I went knight b4, and this is my idea. I kind of saw that I had like tempos to get into this square, so now I can challenge the knight this way. He jumped into c4, a good move, and now I took here. Okay, and this is an instructive moment, I think, because I calculated that whole line to get to the b6 square with the intention of trading off this knight, and I just figured these knights are so strong, like I cannot live with this knight here. Notice he's attacking this weakness too, like he's attacking this pawn. He's controlling e5. Like, I just felt like, oh, this one too. Like, I want to play check, but he would take my bishop. Like, I just felt like I have to get rid of this knight. And I was so set on that plan that I played it very quickly. I did not think much about it. And it turns out I had a really nice move here. A stronger move, at least, that I missed. And that's the move queen d7. And this is a nice finesse move because the queen moving to d7 is going to change one of the lines slightly so that it really helps black. This is just simply a tempo move. I'm just shifting my queen to the d7 square, white needs to do something about this, maybe king h2. That's what the computer's giving. And now when I take, or actually not even take, the computer's idea was e6. So it's kind of funny because the computer always wants to play e6 in these structures, but a lot of times you get to the point where that is the correct way to play. And I think here's one of those moments. And the reason is we're attacking the d-pawn. The d-pawn is currently defended once. It's supporting the knight on c6. And it's already attacked by the knight on b6. So instead of exchanging knights, it's a good idea to use this knight on b6 just to, break down this structure and this pawn on d5. So this is something I missed. And, it's saying like rook e1 is a move. I don't know if I would think of that for white, but a3 is a move. It's saying just go here. Wow. And here's what's cool about this. Now when white takes the pawn, it's not also attacking my queen, but it is attacking my knight. I can take here. I think this is okay because if takes, I take this knight. White should take back. And now I can play knight b8, but I can also play rook e8, getting my rook in the game, and I'm threatening to come in. Now, what happens if white takes here? Well, I think white's getting in some big trouble now. So if king g1, now I can take that h3 pawn, and I'm threatening checkmate. So this is stuff I did not see in the game. I didn't see this idea that the computer's showing me. So that's a really good lesson learned, is that when you calculate a line, you should still take your time every step of the way and reevaluate and see if there's anything you missed, for one, and if there's anything better that you could do. So in this case, getting my knight to b6 was a good plan, but this final execution, which was the original reason I did it, was incorrect. Now this is still okay for black. He took with the queen. Now, I kind of expected this, and I'm like, well, I think I can pick up that pawn with rook c8. That's kind of what I was thinking. So I took. I threw in this check because why not? But in hindsight, I don't think I would do this. It just allows white to come forward, protect the h3 pawn. It's not in danger with the queen off, though, anyway. But yeah, I don't think there's any reason to let them march up. Yeah, and here, I played the move a4, which is the losing move. And I'm a little disappointed. I had less than 2 minutes on my clock, so I was being a little hasty. But the problem with a4 is this move, c7, which was played. And I mean, he cannot just queen because I would take it, but this is controlling the b8 square, and now I'm just in so much trouble. Like, this is just completely lost. And it's kind of crazy to me, but I saw another line during the game that I did not play, and it was because I was scared to give up this pawn. But in hindsight, what would you rather give up, a rook or a pawn? So I'm not sure I was being logical. Probably was just panicking. So here the only move is rook c8. And the idea is that now we're stopping the move c7. It's really as simple as that. It gives up the pawn, yes. So white could take here. But it's actually saying that black is still doing okay here. And we have bishop c3. So attack the knight that is holding the pawn. So if he tries to defend the pawn, we take the knight. It's undefended here on the square. So the best move is knight c4, and guess what? We can take. Yeah, and I would have been happy to play this position. This is still a game. I don't know who's better, but it's still a game. This is scary still, but this is probably a little scary as well. So I think I learned some valuable lessons this game. So I hope that you enjoy this analysis. We're going to do a final run through and just look at the highlights. I think this is always a good idea. I'm going to turn the computer off. So first thing I figured out is that I don't know these lines where the b5 pawn isn't captured very well. So I'm going to be doing a study on those. You'll probably see an opening video from me on that because I have a pretty extensive Benko Gambit series you can check out on my channel if you like. All right, I took here. So I don't think I'm going to play that in the future. I think I'll just leave it and play g6, maybe even e6. Knight c3, that's reasonable. Gotta play d6. Okay. And let's get to the key moments here. Bishop a6 was fine, so I'm happy with this plan after all. Even taking, I think that's okay. This is a backwards pawn, so I did gain that out of that transaction. And okay, here's my first moment I want to think about. Retreating the knight here is actually not a good move in this case. This often is, but I was being lazy because this move is better with the idea of knight b6 attacking the weak pawn. So I need to be more mindful of the exact structure I'm working with. Just because it's a normal move in the Benko Gambit, or in any opening for that matter, doesn't mean you can be lazy and just go for the normal plans. The goal is to be precise. That is what will make us good. So knight fd7 and rook b1, knight e5. Yeah, and here, I absolutely think this is the right move, but the thing I didn't notice during the game, and I probably would have did it anyways, maybe it's not that important, it's just that after taking on d2, I'm helping this knight get to an awesome square on c4. Just something to be aware of. And okay, the knight comes in b5, rook b8, queen a4. Yeah. And so chess is hard. I need to learn that the simplest answer is often really good, but in this case it wasn't. My best move is knight b6. Giving up the pawn. Very simple answer, rook a8. Very simple answer. And this would have been a position that would have been better than the game continuation. Instead, a5. Threatening a fork here. Yeah, and I don't mind this move so much. Now, if I would have found this, that would have been amazing. The thing that bothers me is I didn't even look at this move. But this is cute, There's always tactics. Yeah, they can take the knight, but here, check. So that's an instructive moment to think about. Okay, so I get into the b6 square like I was hoping. And now after knight c4, I really, really love this queen d7 move. So this is just a tempo move, and this is this is something we should all be doing in our games, considering other candidate moves. I just grabbed that knight as quickly as I could, but, this is a candidate move. It attacks a pawn. That's a tempo. E6 is a pawn break. I should be looking at these things. So I didn't have that much time. It's a 15-minute game, but still, I'd like to get to the point where I am seeing these candidate moves. And here we go. And now the game-losing move. This is unnecessary. I don't like this. But now the game-losing move. A4, allowing C7, and now I'm just lost. I mean, what can I do? I mean, I played this, but this is a pretty clear move to make, and sure enough, he did. So I did resign in this position. But you know what they say, you never lose if you learn, right? So that's what I'm going to say as part of this game. I do want to note that I've been really active as a professional cornhole player lately, but the championships are early August, and then I'll have a lot more time to focus on chess. So I'm really excited about that. I really want to try to get my rating back up. I've been messing around with openings all year and not playing any slow tournaments. So my first goal is going to be to play some slow chess, maybe lay off the blitz for a while, and really try hard to get my rating back up and have some good results. So wish me luck. I would love to break 1800. In the next few months, and hopefully 1900 by the end of the year. That would be amazing. But, you know, I also think chess is a game of patience. So I intend to be patient about rating as well and not focus on it so much. Just kind of play the best that I can. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you did, I hope you enjoyed the analysis. And I will link my Benko Gambit series below as well if anyone's interested. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.